Welcome to MLB Talk, New York's #1 baseball podcast. Now here's your hosts, Chris Pizzaya and Rob Maraska.
And welcome to a new episode of MLB Talk with your hosts, Rob and Chris, as we cover the Yankees, Mets, and all of Major League Baseball. And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, hit that sub button. We'd really appreciate it. And remember, if you want to follow us on TikTok and on Twitter/X, it's NYMLB Talk. You can follow Rob at R Maraska. You can follow myself at CP7NY. And remember, sportswire.org, where we are also. You can find us there. And they also have a YouTube page. Give them a follow. Tons of other content that's on there. Check them out as well. So, Rob, we got a big series coming up for you guys, Mets, Phillies. So we had to get a Philly fan in here. Philly to come in and help us, and I think we got a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on, Steve. I think it's
problem, man. Love talking sports all day, every day. That's what we all do, right, my friend?
That's right.
Yeah, it's great. Listen, I think this series is more important for the Mets than the Phillies, though, right now, because the Phillies are in the driver's seat, and we know what's been happening with the Mets. Although the Mets did take 2 out of 3 from Atlanta, they failed to sweep the Braves, which really, I thought that they finally had a chance to go into Atlanta and sweep the Braves after winning the first 2, but they didn't do it. But at least they took 2 out of 3. But here comes Philly, and Philly. I don't know. This is going to be a hard series, I think, for the Mets. What do you think, Steve?
I think if you're a Mets fan, you're probably a little bit more optimistic, considering the fact we just lost Wheeler for 6 to 8 months with the blood clot. Aaron Nola hasn't been the Aaron Nola that we've seen over the last few seasons. Obviously another guy just coming off the DL didn't look so great in his first start back. So you're sitting there saying it's more important to you guys. I still think it's more important to them to us in that matter. If we for argument's sake, let's say we win all 3 games, we completely put the division on lock and could walk away with it. Or if we drop them, you guys have an opportunity to find a way to crawl your way back to get it to make it a fight the last month of the season. Where if we wind up walking away with it, we could just rest guys up, give guys some breathers, maybe even let some of the young arms pitch in September, where you're not having to press to kind of lock things up. I think it is an interesting series. You have, if you're the Phillies, you have to put your foot on the Mets' throat, so to speak, and squeeze as hard as you can to make it so you can just be relaxed in what you do the last month of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. And hello, Jonathan. Thanks for watching again. Glad to have you out there and everyone else. Yeah, I agree with you. It's important for both teams. But the Mets, we've seen the struggles of the Mets recently. Not even recently, since June. I mean, the Mets have been 24 and 37 since June 13th. That is not good. They were ahead of the Phillies. They were doing great. And now look, they're 7 games behind Philadelphia. So you guys, right now you're cruising, and the Mets are the ones that have to prove themselves. Wheeler is a big blow. What did you think when you first heard about the blood clot and that problem? What went through your mind?
I mean, if you look at it, Zach Wheeler has been the absolute backbone of the Phillies rotation since we stole him away from you guys. I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Nola has been delegated to the second and third role there since Zach has been brought here to Philadelphia, and he's been nothing short of amazing since he's been here. He's been the ace, the number one guy. You're going to get at least 6-7 innings out of him. He's not really gonna give up too many runs. and he's dominant. And when you lose a guy like that, that is a significant blow to us moving forward, regardless that we're up 7 games now. And I still felt like when we got through July that we already went through our hard part of the schedule. And then when you look how everything is playing out, we went from being within a game and a half of each other to the significant lead that we have here now. So I mean, in that sense, you're glad you were able to get up on it, but they still have to finish strong and potentially do what they can to make a possible October run, potential championships, things of that nature. But it's going to be rough to do without Wheeler. Wheeler, it was the ace. I mean, you are in a better spot with your bullpen by getting a Johan Duran, and he just blew his first save the other night. He basically was like, "Listen, I'll be ready for tomorrow." Not everyone can do what we had here in Brad Lidge when we won the series in 2008, where he was perfect. He was perfect through the season. He was perfect through the playoffs. That doesn't happen with relievers in today's baseball. So, I think that I thought they were deep with the starting pitching, but I still think when everything boils down to it, the bats have to make sure they don't freeze up come October, because that was the big problem with the Phillies the last 2 seasons. That wasn't really pitching; it was just that the bats went cold at the absolute worst possible time. So, not really super high on this team, but they have to show me that they are a championship team. We've seen the Phillies get to the playoffs and drop series to teams they have no business doing it to. We lost to you guys last year. The season before that, it was dropping it to Arizona. The season before that, you get to the World Series and you drop one to the Stros. That you probably should have wound up pushing the 7 games, but they fall short and get knocked out of there in 6 games. So they've shown that they can get there. They haven't shown to be a championship team. So until they show it to me, I'm not going to get overly high on them.
Well, you brought up last year, so let's talk about last year real quick. What I talked to Chris about last year during the series was that the Phillies looked old and tired to me against the Mets. All right. They really did look tired. It looked like that the long season got to them, but they looked old, that they just aged. And, Chris, right? Didn't you agree with me about that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? That should be the driving force, losing that series coming into, especially this series, right? Because like you said, if you guys sweep this series, you're going to be up by 10 games. And you're almost kind of saying, okay, we got the division now. Like now the division is not that it's sealed, but it's the first couple of nails have gone into the coffin for the Mets, and the Mets got to worry about the wild card. So is that the driving force going into the series? Looking back at last year's divisional series that you guys lost, 4 out of 5, right? I think it was.
Yep.
It was. Listen, that hurt my soul more than losing to your Yankees in 2009, man. It was a rough one, especially because you're a better team, and then the Mets land the splash free agent this offseason. You thought it was going to be a tough 3-team race, but the Braves fall off the face of the planet this year. You could say it's injuries, you could say a bunch of determining factors, but as being a Met fan, it's got to really be concerning for you the way you guys are looking right now. It's like, are we destined to continue to as we get to the back stretch of the season, just watch the wheels fall off the bus and effectively limping into what potentially could be the playoffs, like where you guys were surging at the end of last season. It doesn't look like that's carrying over this year for whatever reason that is. when I look at it, I just say it like this, the New York-Philadelphia rivalry is always going to be there. It's always going to be the more exciting one, regardless of what the sport we're talking about. If we're talking, Sixers Knicks, if we're talking, Eagles Giants, Phillies Mets is just one of those rivalries, and I think if you're the Mets, you gotta hope that your boys stand tall and don't make it easy for us. If I'm looking at this from the Mets point of view.
Yeah, you're right. And the Mets, the problem is the bats all died at the same time. And now it looks like they're starting to hit, which is good. I mean, they took the series against Seattle, but then they lost the series against the National, which they can't do that. They got to win series now. They have to win. The Mets really have to win every series they have left. This series against the Phillies is key. The Mets starting pitching, has not gone long into the games, and that's a big problem. The bullpen has been taxed. The hitters are finally starting to hit. Vientos, all of a sudden, where he was dead and he wasn't even playing, all of a sudden his bat has come alive, which is great news for the Mets. Same thing with Lindor. Soto hasn't made much noise, although he really is having a Soto-like season. The only difference is he's not hitting his home runs with runners on base. He's hit a lot of solo home runs, and he hasn't hit many home runs with runners on base, but he's still hitting. It's just not at the key time. So that's a big problem with the Mets. But with the Phillies, I like one of the moves the Phillies made, and I don't know why, and me and Chris were talking about this. I don't know why no other team went after him, but I like that for the Phillies. I don't like it for the Mets, but the Phillies picked up David Robertson, right? And so far he's looked pretty good. I mean, he's pitched in 6 games, 1-0 with a 1.59 and 10 strikeouts. But what do you think about that? No one else wanted to give him a chance all year. The Phillies went out
it's
there.
That age number, man. Like, a lot of people get worried about when those relievers get up there in age. We've already been burnt a couple times with signing guys that have been good relievers in the past, and they just come here and the wheels completely fall off. You let a guy like a Sir Anthony Dominguez walk, so you have to find that setup man middle reliever role. And David Robertson has been absolutely clutching that role for you. You're absolutely right. But like I said, at the trade deadline, you go and get a Johan Duran to kind of mix with that. Yeah. Because really strengthen that bullpen. And then you look at the situation where what's been going on with the starting pitching. I mean, obviously the injury things to your key starters hurt, but Taijuan Walker hasn't been completely terrible this year. You're getting quality starts at the guy where technically you got 6 guys who can potentially be starters for you. Is you can't put a price tag on that. Christopher Sanchez absolutely has been following up on his role. He's kind of come out of nowhere and be a solid starter for this team too. So I mean that's the thing. I think they have the potential in the bullpen to be strong, but the question is does it hold up? And does it translate to a deep run in October is kind of really the thing here. But I think having a guy like that, the experience, everything that Dave brings to the table is something you can't put a price tag on. All these people pass on him and didn't offer him a contract, and we needed it. We needed an arm, and it's been a pretty good marriage so far. Let's see what happens over the next 2 months if he's able to keep up that performance going.
And you know what? Another arm that you got back, but you're not going to have him for the postseason. But at least for the last month, you got Alvarado back, right? For the last.
I think that's the cherry on top. Like, he got hit for the steroid thing. He got 100 games. I thought it was a rough one because he was just starting to enamor himself with the fan base. There was a kid who was on the spectrum, and he was mimicking what Alvarado was doing on the mound, and it was like literally the next week, boom, he gets hit with the suspension, and the love affair ended really, really fast. But I mean, having him, you still got Matty Boy back there. You got Durantula, however you want to refer to him. You have a nice back end of your rotation, mixed with the fact that you have several guys that could either potentially start or come out of the bullpen. I think they're good in that area this year. Obviously, like I said, health is an issue. Losing your starter, I don't want to be dealing with what the Mets have been doing, where all the bats are going cold. But if you look at it, Kyle Schwarber is playing out of this world again. This is his third straight season. He's not, and what you're complaining about Soto is what everyone was complaining about the Phillies. Is like, why do we have the home run hitter leading off the lineup? It didn't make sense. They finally worked that around here. Then when you comp that with what Bryce Harper is actually healthy this season.
Right. That's right.
The last few seasons he's been dealing with injuries going into it. Granted, he's accrued a few more this year, but it wasn't one of those long ones where you're out a month and a half, 2 months, whatever, and you're trying to fight to get your swing back right as you're getting ready for the postseason. I'm still not happy with the production we're getting out of Bryce, but when you have that, Nick Castellanos always finds a way to get clutch hits at the right time. Regardless of what the average is, I still think Alec Boehm is somebody that they can count on, but at the end of the day, you still got to get production at the bottom half of that lineup. What is Trey Turner going to mean to this team in October? What is Bryson Stott going to mean to this team in October? Those are the guys I think that you have to get some type of good baseline with it production wise to make this more than just a playoff appearance team to get over that hump. We'll see how it all plays out, but I agree with purists down here. CTI Field has been a house of horrors, but it's one of those things where regardless of what the past deems great for us or bad for us, we're living in the now. We're seeing what these teams are right now. So last season is last season, and this season is this season. Those are two different ball clubs, two different types of nucleuses. We'll see what happens over these next few games. The blind fan here. I still think that we'll wind up taking 2 out of 3. I don't think we're going to sweep you guys, but I do see this is going to be a little bit of a dogfight. Maybe we get one of those games that are 8-7 or something to that where we're trading runs back and forth. But if it gets to the fact that we're getting to the back end of that bullpen, I think the Mets might be in a little bit of trouble because
Steve, give me a couple of guys that are going to be the key for the Phillies down the stretch and in the postseason. Obviously Schwarber, but give me some other guys that
getting consistency out of Harper. Harper, outside of when they made that World Series run, and I think it was 2022, right? That he's been very inconsistent the last few seasons. Again, as I was sitting there saying, I think the injuries played a part into that, but he has to be consistent again, and he has to be lights out. Now, also, when we made that run, we had Rhys Hoskins, who was an extremely hot bat. I still think guys like that I just mentioned, Nick Castellanos, can't disappear when it comes October. Cannot have your shortstop, second baseman, third baseman. Those guys absolutely have to hit. I still think Harrison Bader is gonna be another guy. Yeah. He's a Golden Glove arm out there. He's proved that he's consistent in that area, and I think that's another thing that regardless of what his bat does, as long as he's able to get games in there and give them good defense out there, I think he's going to play a key part in it. As I already said, I think Johan Duran's going to make a name for himself this postseason. As far as baseball purists, I absolutely hate the potential realignment that Rob Manfred has offered. How do you take Atlanta out of our division?
Right. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's
the
coming.
Braves has been a part of the
Steve.
Philadelphia and the New York rivalry as far as baseball goes for the better part of the last 30 years. I think this is where I think Manfred's doing a little too much here. Yeah, I know you're going to be bringing in at least 2 expansion teams. A expansion team and a relocation. But
but still,
I don't think you need to move all this around. I don't think you need to. No. I don't think you need to move, because the other thing about that I don't think he mentioned is that we'll now become an AL team. What?
Yeah, I don't like that. Listen, I do not like that at all. I do not want the Mets, Yankees, Phillies, and Red Sox in the same division. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's one thing. I'm just gonna go.
Once in a while, you gotta shake the tree up and things like that. But like, I don't agree that all of us need to be in the same division or the same conference. Why are we talking about the Phillies and Mets now going over to the AL East, and then there is no more NL East?
No,
right. You know what it is? They want it to look like the NHL and the NBA.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think their plan is going to be 8 teams, 4 divisions, right? And guess what?
Right.
That Northeast is going to be New York, Philly, Pittsburgh, Boston, probably Washington and Toronto. That's, it's going to be that, because that's what. Think about this: if they want to have these guys traveling less, that's what they're going to do. And the players, they don't care. The way we're talking, like, oh, we don't want this. The players don't care. If you tell them, hey, you're going to travel less and you're going to make more money. Okay. I'm in, like, the players are going to be fine. So they'll be happy about it. But I think that's what's coming. Obviously, it's not going to happen in the next couple of years. But, yeah, I think 2 new teams, and then we're going to have a major realignment next time. And I know Manfred said he wants it done before he ends up leaving, but that's going to be his kind of final stamp on ruining this sport, I think.
Listen, you want to help fans get more involved in the sport. Take the sports writers out of the Hall of Fame voting and let the players that deserve to get in.
Right.
That's the stamp you should want to put on your leaving. The realignment does nothing but makes potential dollars elsewhere. Makes it a little bit easier for some of these clubs to make money that don't have to travel all over the place. They're still going to have to travel all over the place because you have teams. What I want to see instead of a realignment, let's get the Midwest more teams.
Right.
The realignment means absolutely nothing to me. Bring more teams in. Let's get some of these states that are absolutely baseball driven areas. Have an actual team to go and root for, where they don't have to go and travel to Las Vegas or LA or whatever to catch a game. They're able to watch something in their own backyard.
Well, it looks like it'd be one of the North Carolina cities or Nashville getting a team.
But that's again on the East Coast. Like, all right,
yeah,
Midwest baseball is probably one of the untapped resources that baseball hasn't barely even gotten into.
Right.
Like
we might see Portland, we might see Salt Lake City. Yeah. Like that, those are the cities that they've been talking about it. I don't know who else. I don't know what else other cities have they been really discussing. I know those 4 for sure. I heard. Like,
I don't know. I don't know about Portland though, because of Seattle.
The basketball team barely. The basketball fans barely show up for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Both of those teams actually.
Right.
Right. You're right. But what about Salt Lake City, Steve? What do you think about them getting a franchise?
Like, I can't sit there and say I know for a fact that it wouldn't work there, because as much as I was just giving the Jazz fans crap about it, we unless you do a census per state to kind of see
we won't know that
gauge the excitement for it. Like, why can't Nebraska get a team? Why can't Oklahoma get a team?
Yeah,
I still think that the Midwest baseball should have more love there instead of realigning the East Coast. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, there's other things that baseball could worry about to bring in more fans. A realignment isn't helping you. I was talking with one of the guys on the South Florida Tribune, and he was like, "Listen, he's like, baseball's biggest problem is you guys are all old. None of the younger generations kind of really going on, and the biggest average of baseball fans are 50 and up." I'm like, well, damn.
Well, that's why
you're
they're
right.
trying to add stuff to.
Yeah.
But that's
to bring the
also
younger
why you
generation,
bring in some of these
games.
new teams to kind of reinvigorate something like that.
Right.
Maybe when you do that, have another another draft where you have to protect guys and things like that, and help them along a little bit, and then bring baseball to some of these places. I mean, you're doing the Field of Dreams games, which is a great idea, but shouldn't that be in one of these teams' backyard? Not you're bringing in the Twins and the Phillies or the Yankees and the Mets, whatever. It makes no sense. They should have somebody that they have a home base there in their own backyard, not just doing it for a game, a weekend, a month, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I did like the idea what they did with Atlanta with merging it with NASCAR. I thought that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's something they should look into with other cities as well. I think that would work well with a cross branding that way. I think that was a smart move. But like I said, man, like this realignment, I think is probably one of the worst ideas that Manfred's ever come up with. I mean,
and he's had some bad ones. Let's be honest. Right?
Listen,
dude, he got into it with Bryce Harper a few weeks ago. He tries to come in the dugout talking about salary cap. Bryce told him to get the bleep out of my clubhouse.
And that listen,
that is going to happen.
That's going to be another problem after next season. We don't know. We don't know what the work stoppage is going to look like, because you know that the Players Association, the Players Union, is not going to go for any of that stuff where they're going to lose money. It may be a long work stoppage.
I don't think they're going to. I agree with you. I do think there is going to be some type of stoppage. I don't see them seeing eye to eye on a lot of things. I think a salary cap for what they've already done, you're going to have to undo so many different things to implement that you're going to destroy some of these teams that have been working under the premise of this is how it works. And, not only do I think there's going to be a stoppage, I think that they're going to have to find some type of common ground. Because, listen, at the end of the day, baseball is the largest marathon of all the four sports, 162 games. So the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you significantly cut down the seasons, the games played to sit there and say we're going to have a cap on this. I mean, I do think there should be some type of language where you don't have what's going on out there, and with the Angels, they got a guy that basically is barely playing. He's one of the top 10 contracts that is currently going in Major League Baseball. Like I'm not going to sit there and say there isn't problems that happen, but I do think trying to force a salary cap, not only the players but the owners, after you've basically let it be, whoever can do whatever within what you get in your market, then you're going to have a big problem if they're not able to find some common ground. A lot of us remember that strike, that 94-95 season.
Yep.
and it took a lot to regain that momentum, to the point where Major League Baseball turned a blind eye to performance-enhancing drugs. And with that being said, you're using that premise to keep a lot of those guys who were stars before that happened out of the Hall of Fame now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still sit there and say one thing: like, listen, we all know there's guys in there that were steroid users, and they're in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Totally agree.
And I still think that the major thing is that most of them weren't using it to be bigger, stronger, faster. They were doing it to recover faster. They were doing it to make sure they were available, not to gain an edge over their pitcher, their fellow peers.
Well, Steve, let me ask you this. Do you think if with Pete Rose possibly going in, do you think if he gets voted in, do you think that opens the door a little bit for the steroid guys like Bonds and Clemens and
I'm going to say this. Yeah, it's something, I was talking with Pat Combs with a few months ago. First off, if they're on the ballot, they should absolutely be graded on what they did on the field. There is not a single saint in any of the Hall of Fames, regardless of what sport we're talking about.
Exactly.
We're all men. We all make mistakes. You shouldn't have to pay your entire life. The fact that the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame has 14 of Pete Rose's items in the Hall of Fame, but you don't have him on it, then you post-mortemly unban him is the biggest hit to the. If I'm the Rose family, I tell the Hall of Fame to kiss my what. But even further into that, yes, I think guys like Bonds, Clemens, Kurt Schilling, all those guys that are being punished shouldn't be. It's not a freaking popularity contest. And this is why I go back to sit there and say not a major overhaul of all the sports. I'm not just talking baseball. Baseball is probably the biggest one. We just had Ichiro go in. Should have been a unanimous across the board. And
no doubt.
One guy didn't vote for him. I'm so glad he called him out too, because listen,
that was great.
Listen, it's not about whether you like me or not, or I didn't do interviews for you. It's about who they were when they were playing and what they meant to the game.
Right.
Suzuki Ichiro should have been the first ballot Hall of Famer. Barry Bonds, if you take away his Hall of Fame years, is he still in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, he's still in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens, take away his steroids years. Is he still in the Hall? Yes. So why are we having this discussion? It's we're holding this morality to it. It's the most ridiculous thing, and you already have a log jam of guys that should be in there.
And listen, you even brought it up. The league turned a blind eye against it because they knew what was going. Absolutely, they knew what was going on. Come on, we knew what was going on. They obviously knew.
They knew it. Listen, they knew it with the with Sosa, right, and McGuire. They knew what was going on, but that home run race was bringing people in the stadiums, on TV, and everyone was going crazy, so they let it slide. But there's, like Steve said, there are players in the Hall of Fame that did other stuff, because if we want to talk about the players from the 50s and 60s, those guys were doing speed, right? They were doing the little black pills speed, and they're in. So maybe it's time now to stop all this morality crap and let the guys get in based on what they did.
Talking about doing speed. Man, there's guys tripping on acid pitching games.
Well,
man.
Doc Ellis.
Right.
And he pitched a no-hitter. Doc
come on, listen. We all know, based some of the baseball, they're good old boys, man. And some of those good old boys did things in a different way. Pete Rose changed the way a lot of guys played baseball, the way they looked at baseball. You can't sit there and hold them to something. And I still believe to this day, I don't think that Pete was betting on insider information. He was the degenerate who loved to drink, gamble, smoke cigars, and do all this other things. He was betting for his team to win at the end of the day. And I guarantee, if you look at that, I think when everything were to come out, he wasn't betting against the Reds. He was betting red every night. And so at the end of the day, who was he hurting? The only thing he was doing was trying to double dip on top of being a player coach, and also sitting there trying to make the best out of knowing baseball the way he knows it. Listen,
yeah, no, that's true. Hey, listen, I want to ask you a question quickly. I got to ask you a question quickly about the Phillies, right? You got all right. Two questions. One, Andrew Painter. You think we're going to see him by the end of the year, or you think they're saving him for next season?
I'd love to see him for the September call up, and not only would I love to see him for the September call up, the fact that we were already talking about that Zach Wheeler's not there. I know you still got Ranger Suarez. You still got Taijuan Walker there. I think having a guy like Painter there in October would be immense for his experience going into next season. Being the fact that I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that Ranger Suarez will not be brought back next season. But yeah, I would absolutely love to see Painter not only for the September call-ups, but also being kept on the playoff roster as well as an extra arm out of that bullpen. You don't come across these arms so often, and a lot of times that they hold on to these guys and they keep them down there for the silliest of reasons. And I would love to see what you have in Andrew Painter being as you just traded away Mick Abel a few weeks ago. You just traded away a Tyler Phillips to Florida earlier in the season. So seeing a lot of these young guys, and they wind up doing well when they wind up leaving there. I think there's only been a handful of times that they held on to guys and traded them away. Have they done terribly? I think that you need to have that youth in there because they keep them veteran strong. Like, listen, we got this young fireballer back here, man. He's gonna take my innings, man.
Do you think they re-sign JT and Schwarber, or you think just Schwarber comes back next year?
I think they have to sign. First off, I think Kyle Schwarber is probably gonna get a huge contract. He should and will retire here. If not, this fan base is gonna burn down Citizens Bank Park with the owners in the stadium. JT, I say this all the time, man. The catcher-pitcher relationship is probably the most underrated in all of sports. JT is. I don't care what his bat numbers look like anymore. He is one of the best guys behind that plate, handling the rotation. He's still one of the best guys at nailing base runners when they try to run on him. He doesn't have the best numbers, but he's still one of the best. I don't care what his age was. I do think the contract should be team friendly. Knowing that they have guys that should be coming up that are going to eventually replace him. But I do think that you absolutely have to bring them both back. And for what I was just mentioning, because you have to sign those two is exactly why Ranger Suarez isn't going to be here. It's why I actually thought that Ranger Suarez was going to be dealt at the trade deadline, and we were already going to have Painter up here. But it didn't play out that way. They want to keep him on the roster. However, it winds up playing out. But I think Ranger Suarez will be the odd man out when we're looking at this roster about this time next year.
Okay. I was curious about
that. The thing with JT in the playoffs, he looked really bad. You have to admit that he looked really bad.
And he is 34, I think now.
Yeah,
he's 34, 35. You're right.
Yeah.
And there's another question for you, Steve.
Love it. Let me get it up. There it is.
I
absolutely want it. Listen,
yes, I think we all want this.
Yes.
Do not want to see anyone lose their jobs. But we have to admit, not just on a Philadelphia Phillies side of things, the umpires, there is absolutely no repercussions if they make terrible calls, not just consistently, but on a regular basis, to the point where we're seeing guys getting thrown out for doing this.
Right.
Yes. You're right.
And they throw out guys for no reason. Like, listen, get your butt behind there.
They're trying to make it bigger than they're trying to make themselves bigger than the game. It's crazy.
Listen, I think the ABS system has to happen. It has to. Do I think there's still? I don't think we should remove the home plate umpire, but I absolutely think the ABS system has to be implemented moving forward.
Yeah.
There was a game, a West Coast trip that the Phillies made, and we were playing San Francisco, and the calls were just ungodly terrible. Yes. They were like, it was almost like a foot and a half off the plate. That's a strike. What? The catcher had to jump out of the box to stop it from being a pass ball. You just call it a strike. So
we've seen so many games.
that area, but
Yeah.
ABS system absolutely needs to be implemented moving forward. Not just a spring training type of thing. Not just that you're looking at it at the All-Star game. It needs to be implemented. A lot of the stuff that it's going to hold them accountable moving forward. That it has to happen. It should have happened more than a few years ago. We've watched enough baseball to know there is no accountability for the umpire, but they can throw guys out that complain about the calls.
That's right. They do. It's ridiculous.
They should have to, talk to the media after each game, like in a press conference.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do something to hold them accountable. I think if you're not going to hold them accountable, the ABS system is the next best thing to do it, because then you're taking the balls and strikes out of their hands. I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that, because
at
the end of the day, regardless what the umpire is or isn't saying, if he gets it wrong, the ABS system said, no, that's a ball. Have a nice day. And we're all and there is no more animosity between batter, catcher, and umpire anymore. Managers aren't getting thrown out of the game because the guy made a mistake, won't admit that he made a mistake, can't turn around and fix his mistake. ABS system.
Right.
Yeah, and they're protecting the players, they're protecting their players, and they get tossed out of the game just for protecting their players. Something has to be done.
Moving forward, it should only be calling outside home plate. And other than that is if there's a situation where a guy throws a pitch at somebody, to throw a warning here and there to actually protect the players when there is a situation and guys want to throw at somebody or something like that. Actually have them do something besides throwing guys out of games that there's no business they need to be thrown out for, because you were a human being and made a judgment call and you got it wrong.
Now, Steve, I have a question for you. If you had to pick one or two, your all-time favorite Philadelphia Phillies players, if you had to pick one or two of them, who are they?
First and foremost, he's up on my wall over here. He is the best third baseman of all time. Michael Jack Schmidt was my first love as a child. I don't think he gets enough credit on this next one, and absolutely broke my heart to see him win a World Series in another team was Darren Daulton. Darren Daulton is another special one. I was able to meet him when my daughter was really young, so it's like we created a unique bond. And as baseball purists talking about, Ryan Howard absolutely has to be on that list. He was a big piece and a big part of those mid 2000 teams. And honorable mention goes out to Roy Halladay. Absolutely gutted that him, Cliff Lee and them guys weren't able to win a championship with the rotation and team that they had put together. And then obviously Roy passing away with the plane accident was another shocker. But I could probably list at least five more. Like, there's so many guys that have played for this team over the last 30 to 40 years. We could even go back in the days, Robin Roberts, Richie Ashburn. I mean, there's so many great guys that played in the city. Some of them were winners, some of them weren't. We had the pleasure of having a Pete Rose here, when we were putting the things against Steve Carlton, and another guy that, on my wall over here was able to meet, and he was an absolute beast here. They're like the lineage in baseball here. We may not have the championships, but we definitely have a lot of great players that played here. I think another one that doesn't get mentioned as often is Chase Utley. Man, he just I knew I'm going to get a laugh out of you, because
Met fans don't like Utley too much, right?
I still think injuries kind of hampered him. It'll probably be quite a long time before he gets to potential Hall of Fame status. But just another reason why I think it should change. The voting style should change. There's so many guys, and it's not just the Chase Utleys of the world. The fact that there's a guy down there in Atlanta. Was it Andrew Jones? Tell me why he's not in the Hall of Fame. Please, someone give me a good reason why that man is not in the Hall of Fame.
One of the greatest center fielders of all time. He definitely should. Him, Kenny Lofton.
This is what I'm talking about.
We're talking about center fielders, right?
Why are we sitting here, well over 10, 15 years after he's out of the league, and he's still not sniffing it? He's not getting the votes. This is what I'm talking about. Just like
and that's not even steroids either. I mean, there was no steroids.
Exactly. He wasn't a guy who was ever on those lists. Like there's still guys like Rafael Palmeiro. He should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. He's on that steroid list, so that no one wants anything to do with Rafi. There's so many different things where you look at it as a whole, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But we've had a lot of great players here in Philadelphia, but I'm not one of these guys that I'm just like, I want to support my guys and see my guys get in. Regardless of what sport we're looking at, we're looking at football, we're looking at baseball, basketball and hockey aren't as bad because they typically do a good job of getting them in, but for whatever reason, we're holding on to this archaic thing that these sports writers have to vote in. I think that should not be. I think that Hall of Famers, baseball alumni, things of that nature should change the way that they do it with that. The writer should get a vote, but they shouldn't have the controlling factor on how guys get in. I also think current players should be able to vote in too. But that's just me. That's what I would do to change it. But what are you going to do?
TBK has a question for you there. You can see on the screen.
Would you say that Major League?
Listen, we were literally just talking about this TBK, but softest. They let their feelings come before what's actually going on in the game. This is where I thought what Baseball Purists was talking about, bringing the ABS system, let the stuff stop happening to affect the game in a way. We shouldn't be talking about an umpire in any way, shape, or form throughout a game. It doesn't matter, if we're talking Little League, college baseball.
Think about throwing a player out. I mean, bad calls. Listen, bad calls are going to happen. We know that.
The player is getting absolutely physical with you and putting his hands on you and things like that. That's the only time you should be throwing a player out. Right. Is if you're trying to break up a brawl and you wind up catching a right across the chin, you're out. Okay, absolutely. You got to hold them accountable for getting overly emotional. If I'm doing this because you made a bad call, you're out of here. What?
Yeah, that was bad.
It's one of the funniest things I say. Like, listen, there's a lot that to be changed, and Rob Manfred needs to take a good hard look in the mirror. Realignment isn't the thing that should be at the top of your list to do before you're no longer the commissioner of the baseball league. So,
yeah, I was thinking of when you were naming the players before. One of the players that broke my heart going to the Phillies was Tug McGraw. That one hurt for the Met fan when I was a kid.
And it's sad. Another one that we lost to cancer, man.
Yeah, and young. But then there was another guy that. What happened to you, Lenny Dykstra? Let me tell you. Talk about maybe steroids. He was great for the Phillies, and then all of a sudden, look what's happened to him. He's like just out of control.
I think he gets another one of these things. His off-field shenanigans gets kind of brought up to kind of discredit his career. He was tough as nails.
Yes, he was.
he was one that did not. He's one of the rare people in this world where there is no filter between brain and mouth. He tells you exactly how he feels. Is he right all the time? Absolutely not. Is he wrong all the time? Absolutely not. But you're going to get his honest, real reaction. He doesn't wear a mask when he's talking to the public or talking to the media or talking to his friends or family. And that's a rare trait that we have in people. And people want to kind of rip him down for that. And obviously the DUIs and the womanizing and things of that nature always gets brought up when he's having these conversations. I don't think that should disclude him from anything. I think he's a human being, and the enticements of the Fletch kind of list at the top of his debauchery list. I still don't think that makes you think he's any less of a baseball player. Another one of those guys that was probably taking advantage of the league turning a blind eye to the steroid use. I don't think it did. I don't think it helped him that much, to be honest with you, because I just think his body was completely done. It didn't matter what he shot himself up with. He just couldn't stay healthy. After that 93 season, he was amazing in that 93 run where we lost to the Blue Jays. But it was like after that, he just wasn't the same guy. And that was when the steroids was really kind of kicking in. And you could say you knew he was up in there. A lot of people, wish that we could have gotten more out of him. But, yeah, another one of those guys that we stole from your Mets teams. And he still speaks, very highly of Darryl Strawberry, and things like that. And I think for the most part, he still keeps in contact with most of the 90s, that
86 Mets.
But he is a rare one. He's an interesting man, to say the least.
Steve, before we go, we usually ask our guests one last question at the end of the show, and we kind of looked at you kind of brought up a couple of things, but if you were commissioner of baseball, what changes would you make?
Oh, I'm gonna go right back to what we were just talking about. Absolutely, I'm taking the Hall of Fame vote away from our credential media writers, where they're not the end all be all. I'm forming some type of alumni committee mixed up with former players and Hall of Famers to vote in our guys, because the laundry list of guys that should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame trumps any of the other sports. It's ridiculous. Should it be hard to get in? Yes. Should it be a sacred thing? It absolutely should be, but not where you're holding guys out just because of this or that. It's one of the reasons why I don't feel it. Another thing we talked about was the ABS system with not having the umpires have such an impact on the game, where they're tossing guys out for calling out, their inefficiencies. It shouldn't be a punishment for sitting there saying like, "Hey, dude, you got that wrong. This is what it was." And then they've implemented the replay system. I still think I think that the replay system is great for base running and tags more than it should be for balls and strikes. So kind of react into that. And again, no realignment. And we were talking about, find some more of these Midwest states and cities to kind of get them professional teams out there, man. Like, how's it not a single team of any kind of any sport is in Nebraska?
Right.
Nebraska's only known for Cornhuskers football at this point in time. I'm pretty sure that's a baseball heavy city state as well. So
definitely. Well, Steve, listen, enjoy the Mets Phillies series. I know I'm going to try to this week. I just had a couple of quick things, and thanks for coming on the show. You were great. We had a great time with you. I have a couple of quick announcements that I have to make. We're going to have a special Thursday show with Eric Katz on. I'm not sure what time it is, so just keep checking YouTube. That's Thursday night. And then Friday night, we have an excellent show for you at 10 p.m. We're going to have Scott Morganroth back with former Mets manager Mickey Callaway to talk about Scott and Mickey's new Saturday show. So that's Friday. If you have any questions you want to ask Mickey, get in touch with me or Chris, and, we'll ask them. Any baseball questions, we definitely will. I'm going to be on the South Florida Tribune's 108 Stitches show tonight at 8:30. Mickey's also going to be on that show, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And, any other shows we have coming up, just check the schedule out. But Steve, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Chris, you got anything else?
Yeah, other than, hey, Steve, where can everybody find you out there?
It's actually really easy for me. Like, obviously, my name's down there. Steve and Rochelle, you can always check me out there. Obviously, Chris just pulled up the X page. It's at Steve Sports Talk 1. You follow me there for YouTube as well. Obviously, you got the pin there. Us talking to Tay Godwin. He's actually got a book coming out in about a month or so. That should be a great read as well. But always every Wednesday morning, me and Ben Troop get together for our Fan in the End. Obviously, I'm also on in about a little bit less than an hour with Scott in the Professor and the Pupil right before Rob and you guys jump on for 108 Stitches baseball talk. I'm also on there Tuesday nights on the Inside of the Pigskin, and I also do a show on Sundays called The Real and the Rare. Typically, I sit down and do interviews with our combat sports athletes, regardless if it's boxing, MMA, bare knuckle boxing. Try to bring a unique blend to it. Just interviewed a girl from Texas who's going to be making her BKB debut in upstate New York at the end of September. So that was a fun interview. This Sunday, I'm actually going to be talking to a brand operator. His name is Sean Keys. He's the co-owner of Get Slept Athletics. He's a co-owner with former UFC champion Tim Sylvia. They sponsor a lot of people in the bare knuckle boxing world, MMA world. So that should be a fun interview. And I'm pretty sure the current featherweight champion, Miss Jessica the Black Widow Borga, who's going to be fighting in New Jersey October 4th for the Queen of Violence title against Christina Miss Fifieri, is going to be joining us. They're going to be announcing their new collaboration, a new T-shirt they're having for the upcoming fight. So it should be a fun few weeks here on the South Florida Tribune. And guys, it was definitely a pleasure hopping on with you. Anytime you guys want to collab, talk some Philadelphia sports or just talk sports in general, just Chris or yourself can reach out to me on any of the platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, however you guys feel free, man.
Definitely will, man.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us, Steve. We had a great time kind of giving us a preview of this big series. This is a big series, like Rob said.
Yeah, it
is. For the Mets. It is
for the big for both of us. We can, like I said, we can put our foot on the Mets' throats and really get a stranglehold on this division.
Hey, some ladies
man,
like to do that.
I gotta say like this one, baseball viewers, go look up Jessica Borgen. You might want to rethink that. She's definitely not hard on the eyes, and she's an awesome person.
Remember, you guys got another series after this with the Mets, right?
That's right.
4 games.
Yeah, there's another one in September. That's why I said like this is one where we can really put a stranglehold. If we drop the proverbial ball here and let's say we drop 2 out of 3 of the Mets, it's going to give them life for when you have the final series in September. So it's one of these things where if you can tighten that stranglehold that you have on that division, that's why this is such a big series.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So listen, you got to come back for the next series in a couple of weeks, and we'll update everybody, and by then we'll know a lot more what's going on. But all right, guys. Thank you everybody out there for watching. As usual, you stuck with us for the whole show, which we appreciate. And if you haven't, go to YouTube and hit that subscribe button for us. We'll see you guys Thursday.